moment, opportunity to hear that car give full light as they get underway. It looks like the green light has been shown to the racers, and indeed they get underway. There's a clean rolling start, as is customary for stock car racing. Up the inside, it looks like Hurrigan's having a good look at the car of Stubbs. Number 45 is defending well though. Sorry, I'm just listening to that Mustang as it screams past the camera point in turn 2. Richard White, a couple of brake lockups in the background there as well, running on a bag tyre. I'll say again, customary part of stock car racing, and something that's very much aligned with this. And have a look at this. This is a wonderful shot. Let's listen to it as it comes through the sweeper. Taking it nice and easy, feathering the throttle ever so gentle on this opening lap, but the tyres won't take too much time to get up to temperature. We've got plenty of sun out in the sky, not a cloud in sight, and as the sun is out in UV, as well as the inherent heat bakes the track and it warms it up a little bit. It was a very frosty start this morning at the Winton Motor Raceway, so the track is starting to evolve based on what we've seen so far in terms of lap times from the previous races. Richard White, that Budweiser liveried number 8 Chevrolet Monte Carlo, bona fide NASCAR. Didn't race in that livery back in period, but it has been stickered up to look pretty much as it should look. It looks absolutely sensational coming through turns 11 and 12 there.
Certainly does. It's made up that position, started behind the number 19, so the number 8 machine has moved up one place. Here it comes down into turn 1. Oh! Around he goes.
There. He caught the apron of the circuit there on the right-hand side. It's unsettled the car, and he has rotated, switched ends on him. Oh, and he's just missed the Chevrolet Lumina, the number 3 car on its way through there.
Which he also owns. That was a very tense moment for him, I'm sure. Watching his own car, there it is, the number 3 car coming at him. Oh, that would have been an awful moment for him, I'm sure, trying to get that car refired. But the truck, the number 84, nearly got both of them there in that particular moment. But my crikey, that was a really hairy moment there for Richard White. But great to see he's got 2 tribute liveries, the Dale Earnhardt and the Dale Earnhardt Jr. tribute liveried machines, both of which have got great racing history. Not in those particular liveries, but his number 8 car, we can see just at the back of the shot, has raced in the top tier NASCAR series and did so for many years from 1998 through until 2001. So that is a proper bona fide NASCAR, the number 8.
Number 19 on screen. This is Stubbs. Had a great battle yesterday, and he's currently showing in 6th position. Mark Casey having coming under fire now from the recovering Richard White after that spin at turn 1. I dare say we put in the positioning the Monte Carlo a little further to the left-hand side this time around. Of course, it is a left-hand drive car, so a little bit unusual if you're used to driving a right-hand drive car, as most race cars in Australia are. But doing a fantastic job, and these pictures brought to you. Zero latency onboard camera. It looks absolutely beautiful. Big thank you to the Blendline TV crew working tirelessly to push the boundaries and bringing you grassroots motorsport looking at its very best. Coming down to gears there is Richard White. Here's the Chevrolet Lumina, as you said. It's the Dale Earnhardt livery. It is synonymous with NASCAR racing, the good wrench. Number 3, silver and black. And he's got Stubbs just behind there as well. So this is heating up to be quite a spicy little battle for position 5, I should say. So we're fresh from Stubbs, from White, and we're starting to drop Marchese ever so slightly.
The number 3 car with the Dale Earnhardt tribute livery. That didn't run so much over there. It's got a lot of Australian history, that particular machine. It was run a little bit by Brad Jones, more as a ride day car, and same with Rodney Jane as well. So there's been a few handy steerers behind the wheel of that machine. It has done a few races around the Calder Dome, but that was generally the ride day car from what they were telling me on Friday's. Lost it again early on the power, and around she goes. It's been a messy race for him so far. Just doesn't seem to have much grip out there, but I think that was just a bit too eager on the throttle, and around went the rear end. You never want to see the rear end of your car ahead of the front. That means you're having an accident, And the number 3 car doesn't appear to be running too smoothly either at the moment. So both of Richard White's cars are not having the greatest of races. The number 19 there getting through and quickly pulling away from the number 3. But that's a second hairy moment for Richard White, who's rejoined the race circuit once again. But he has lost a position or two, I believe. Yeah, one to Marchese and another one to Rice in the 108 Holden Commodore. Good to see that Rice has got that car back working again. And as you see, the number 3 ahead around turn number 4. We look back at his other machine, and here is what happened on the exit of turn number 9. Too much power, Callum, I think, on the exit.
Yeah, it looked fairly innocent looking over his shoulder, so it wasn't a huge amount of wheel spin, but it was just enough. So obviously the rears just hasn't come in too far. Trying to refire a hot race car at the best of times is extremely hard. It's the second time he's had to contend with that, but luckily he's back out there and circulating. On screen now, the car of Danny Burgess in the number 7. Steel and Stuff Orange Oz Truck Silverado. Beautifully drifted out of turn 12, coming on to the main straight. These cars featured a lot in the past 10 years or so in Australian competition, and they look absolutely fantastic as well. There's quite a few utes in competition here this weekend. Obviously, this isn't really a ute, it's a stock car, but we do have a bona fide ute racing in the Pitcher Partners Winton 300 coming up later on this afternoon. The Steel and Stuff car driven by Burgess. He was a lot further up the field. He was all over the back of Hourigan in the number 51 Oz Truck, also a Silverado in the race earlier. Now, Perichon on screen here, the number 6 Stillwell Ford XF Falcon. This is the car that raced Imperial in Oscar back in the day in the hands of Jim Richards. Gentleman Jim, there isn't a safer pair of hands to be behind the wheel is Jim, so big hello to Jim if he's tuning in from home. But Perichon behind the wheel at the moment, taking it nice and easy. Obviously this is the genuine car that Jim raced back in the days around the Thunderdome in a clockwise direction, not anti-clockwise like we would expect most NASCARs, given that this car is drives on the right-hand side of the XF Falcon.
What's really cool is that Perichon was the mechanic on Jim Richards with that Oscar. So he heard it was for sale, and he thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind owning that. Was a great period in my life working on Jim Richards' Oscar. So he's bought it and now drives it himself. It's a bit of a fairy tale story, that one. He's just gone a lap down. He's had teething problems with that machine all weekend long. It's not been running quite on song, so that's why he's circulating at the moment. But to have 6 Oz cars out there on the racetrack this weekend is absolutely awesome. And they're expecting even more for the next round at Calder Park Raceway. Of course, the spiritual home for these machines as they race there around the Thunderdome. But they're on the road course, Calder Park circuit in around a month's time, so not too far away from that. And they're expecting a couple more NASCARs there as well. But this series normally runs on the High Tech Oil Super Series program. It's a national championship, and it's great that it's on the bill of the Victorian Motor Racing Championships here this weekend.
Yeah, it certainly has amplified the support category card for round 3 of the Victorian Motor Racing Championship. They're very well suited to this track as well. You can see the number 16 on screen now, the Expedition Ford Mustang. It's by far my favourite sounding car here this weekend. It's just something about a screaming V8. We're going to listen to it now. It's just a beautiful, beautiful car. It's beautifully driven by Nind as well so far this weekend. It's been unstoppable. It's taken out the races so far this weekend, and he's firmly in position to do repeat the same performance in this race with 3 laps to go now as he crosses the start-finish control line. Stubbs following 3.2 seconds of drift. Just listen to that car again. Coming through turn 4, so that number 16 working absolutely beautifully this morning.
It's that loud, we can hear it out the window over our headphones, which normally blocks out all sorts of noise. We can only really hear what you can hear at home, and it's that loud we can distinctly hear that NASCAR whenever it's on the throttle at any point around this Winton circuit. It is quite remarkable, and undoubtedly the loudest car here this weekend.
also a good storyline with these sorts of cars as well, because we do have some pretty handy steerers in Australia. Obviously, the Supercars Championship. We sent a couple of Australians over to the States earlier this year. We had Cameron Waters as
Will Brown.
well as Will Brown, and we all know Shane Van Gisbergen is over there competing in the second tier Cup Series second tier series full time in NASCAR. So when you get some pretty handy steerers from Australia, plug them into a car like that, you see how well they do perform. Here comes the 45 around. It sounds absolutely beautiful as well. And it's been a resurgence with, as you said, Dan, there's a lot of these Oz cars coming back out from garages. They're blowing off the cobwebs, getting them restored to near mint condition, if not better than what they were racing in period. But it's great to see them back out on the racetracks. It'll be a sight to behold, as you say, when they return to their spiritual home at Calder Park Raceway, which the Jane family are investing in and reviving that venue to add yet another permanent racing facility, or returning that as a permanent racing facility in Victoria. So it's great to see Calder Park making its way or hosting regular race meetings once again. So when you do go there for the next round, you will see something like this. You'll see Perishon behind the wheel of the Stillwell Ford XF as it did back in the day.
Absolutely. We're getting towards the closing stages of this race. It's absolutely flown by. Here is the number 3 catching up to the back of the truck. Here is the number 8, the recovery drive from Richard White. We're going to take an onboard lap. We're going to let you sit back and enjoy this one with Richard White. There it is, a lap of the Winton Motor Raceway. 3 kilometres goes like that. Boy, oh boy, is he working hard at the wheel. But around the final corner to greet the checkered flag for the 3rd time, it's Nind in the Xfinity Series NASCAR. Awesome drive once again from him. And once again, the bridesmaid is Stubbs in position number 2. Took pole in qualifying, but he's had to settle for 2nd in all 3 races. Hourigan will be across the line next in 3rd position in the first of the trucks. And there he is. Awesome job from him, finishing in the end 16 seconds behind Stubbs. And there's the 2nd of the trucks in position number 4. That's Burgess. And look at this a little bit further back. The Oz cars are being hounded by the NASCARs. The other Stubbs in number 19 will take 5th. He threads his way through those Oz cars. Just looking to see who was the best performing Oz car. I believe it was the 22 of Gates once again. So the Oz cars had their own little class out there, and he's already crossed the line a lap down. So nicely done there by the number 22 machine. This is the fight out there for position number 14 between Perishon and Robertson. Robertson in the number 54 drove that car at the Calder Park Thunderdome back in the day, so it's great to see that he's got that car back restored and back out there on the racetrack It has had a few teething issues so far this weekend. It doesn't seem to have the straight line speed of the other Oz cars, but nevertheless, great to see that back out there for the first time in many years. And hopefully that'll be tuned up a little bit and running a little bit more smoothly by the time they get to the next round at Calder Park. It's going to be a drag race to the line. It looks like it's going to go the way of the number 6 Ford of Perishon. Nicely done. Good clean race between those two. And that is all 15 cars across the line, Callum, which is what we like to see.
Absolutely, Dan. 15 cars home nice and safely. A little bit of a tricky trip out there for the man we're riding on board with at the moment, Richard White. 2 spins, but no harm, but no foul. The car is straight, and it will be back out later on this afternoon for the 4th race of the weekend for the Stock Cars Australia. Race 28 on the schedule. It'll be 1:40 or 20 minutes to 2. So there's confirmation on our screen now. Nin, the winner of the race, 6.5 seconds clear of Jeff Stubbs. Brendan Hourigan home in P3 ahead of Danny Burgess in the number 7 Oz truck. Daniel Stubbs in 5th. Robert Marchese in 6th position. Jake Frisch in 7th position. Richard White, Michael Rice in the Club Sport HSV 108 entry. And Lucas Gates, as you said, first of the Oz cars home. Nin, unsurprisingly, was the fastest man on track with a 1 minute 27.6. And as we were saying before, they'll be back out later on this afternoon at 1:40 according to the schedule. So we look forward to the final night lap. 9 of Stock Cars Australia getting underway. We should point out that this is not for points. We'll get to that a little bit later on as this race is about to get underway. This is a fun race. This is an outing for them. The weekend competition is effectively done, but they're going out for one last time. What can Scott Hind do? Green flag, they are underway. Richard White has got the inside line. The number 84 of Marchese in the Oz truck is having a look up the inside of the Chevrolet Lumina, driven by Jake Frisch. But he can't get past this time around, taking it nice and easy. But it is Burgess in the number 7 Oz truck. You can see him on the outside there of Frisch as they come through turn 3. He's had plenty of pace so far this weekend, and he's currently sitting in 3rd position. And we've got some penalties showing up for the front runners as well. So the front row has effectively had a 15-second penalty being slapped on them from the start there. So we'll find out more information on that how as the race unfolds. Here comes Hourigan in the number 51 up the inside of Marchese at turn 7. Very clinical move there, but you can just see the 16 car there passing through the screen. That is the Xfinity Cup Mustang that we were talking about before, Dan, of Scott Hind. He's been a dominant performer so far this weekend, and he's got the number 45 of Stubbs just behind him. But there's a very clean start here, and at the risk of annoying too many viewers, I don't want to talk too much because we do want to hear the cars coming through the beautiful Blendline TV coverage that you can see in front of you.
What I'm enjoying already in this race is actually seeing Nine move forwards through the field, and here he goes, overtaking the fellow NASCAR. He might get the truck as well, and does so. Really strong under brakes as well. But it's nice to see him actually work for a victory. He's just waltzed off into the distance so far this weekend, but coming from 8th on the grid, and he's showing he can overtake as well. We are hearing that the 15-second penalties are for crossing the blend line on pit lane exit and heading onto the racetrack. So that's a big no-no in motorsport. I was speaking to a few of the competitors on Friday, and they were saying they've already been picked up for that. So it's not their first altercations with the pit lane blend line this weekend. So I'm sure they've learned their lesson by now, you'd think. But Frisch and also Rice. Interestingly, Callum, the Richard White 15-second penalty has been removed.
Yeah, it's been withdrawn. So maybe a judge of fact has withdrawn that penalty. We are not too sure. Either way, it's not showing up on the timing screen at the moment. This is the battle for the lead. We've got Burgess in the orange Oz truck. Silverado, the number 7 truck in hot pursuit of the Budweiser. Number 8 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. He's got a good run coming out of turn 9. Deep under brakes into turn 10. It's an awkward left-hander. More than 90 degrees. Here comes the number 16 Mustang. Just trying to get myself ready so we can hear the cars coming past, coming onto the main straight, because it is a beautiful vantage point to be able to hear these cars So here comes Richard White to complete yet another lap. Let's have a listen. That Mustang is sensational, isn't it? The number 16, here it comes again. That sounds awesome.
It's not just the Mustang, it's a symphony of V8s.
It is.
Going by. It's absolutely glorious.
But it's the NASCAR symphony. It's that unique sound that they generate. The number 16 all over the back of Richard White. He's got a good run coming down the old main straight, and he's already taken away the lead coming into turn 3. So a beautiful move there from Scott Nind in the number 16 Mustang. We should point out that he's the winner of the round with 120 points. Second place has gone to the number 45 TA2 in second place, with 105 points. And then we had Brendan Hourigan in the Oz truck coming home in third place for the weekend. The muscle car class, we've only got one car here this weekend with Michael Rice, 120 points, taking that one out. And in Oz car, it is Lewis on 120 points, taking that one out. Oh, and he's got it all 6s and 7s in the number 7. Collects it. The steel and stuff car, and he falls behind Hourigan. That's a familiar sight for him all weekend. He's been staring at the back of that number 51 Oz truck for most of the weekend. So that's a bit of a mistake there, a bit of a mishap for the number 7, but very lucky that he can continue.
Yeah, just a bit too much power coming out underneath the Gumtree hairpin, and put the foot down, and the machine cranked sideways, back one way, back the other way, get about 4 goes on the wheel, and finally got it back facing in the right direction, but did lose a position, and now under threat from Daniel Stubbs, the number 19 machine. But out front, number 16 of Ning is pulling out a significant margin. Fastest lap of the race last time through. Interestingly, the other Stubbs out there in the TA2 car has finished in second in the first 3 races. He has not made the progress that the others have out there. The other car has out there of the number 16. He remains in position number 5. Here's the Oscar fight a little bit further down the field. So far this weekend has been dominated by the number 22 of Gates. But I think Gates is nursing a problem there, Callum. That doesn't seem to be running quite right. Yeah, a bit of an apology to Gates before, so I called his name wrong, but he was the winner of the round. But it does sound a little bit off song, unfortunately. The number 22 Commodore, you can see they're slipping behind Perishon in the number 6 Stillwell Ford XF Falcon, formerly driven by Jim Richards in period around the Calder Thunderdome, spiritual home of these cars. I've been told that there's quite a significant number of Ozcars and NASCARs residing in garages in Australia, nudging about 100, there or thereabouts. So there's a lot of cars, there's a lot of potential for this series to continue to take steps forward in terms of its exposure in Australia. And obviously you can see the popularity drawing the fans to the fences because they sound absolutely sensational. Here comes Rice up the inside now of Perishon, taking that position away. Obviously they're not racing for sheep stations, they are giving each other more than enough room. Speaking of racing for sheep stations, here comes Hourigan. He's got a run on Richard White, having a look up the inside. But Richard White's driving a very defensive line there. We rode on board with him earlier today, so if you do want to scrub back through the YouTube or Facebook stream on Blendline TV to find out more information. If we've got a replay here, the number 45 up the inside. Oh, a little bit late there, a little bit ambitious. So that was the last of the late breakers, and he had to pull out of that move at the last second there. There's Richard White off track. The number 8 rejoining at turn 8, a Mario Kart style shortcut, and hopefully it hasn't done any damage whatsoever. It doesn't appear to have done any damage to that Budweiser Chevrolet Monte Carlo whatsoever. So bit of a wild moment there, but that's a bit of a callback to the core of NASCAR, the foundations upon what it was built on, which was dirt racing. Yeah, absolutely, and there's a lot of dirt coming out the front of it as he slams on the brakes there. He might lose out here as they weave their way through the Oscar traffic. How cool is this, everybody watching here at Winton and on the screens of Blendline? That's not his first mistake today. Had a couple of harmless spins in the race earlier on today, but good to see that thing isn't too badly damaged. He's back underway. This is what happened. Running wide at the sweeper, just dribbled off the road, and cut across a couple of corners and rejoin the circuit. You can see he put his boot back in it halfway around there, sliding through the dirt road in the middle and then rejoining the circuit. And Rice is looking like he's moving a little bit slowly there, out there on the circuit, just staying out of the leader's way as he goes down a lap. But there's been a few controversial incidents at that sweeper of rejoins. I remember Scott McLaughlin went off the track there fighting his teammates. I think it was 2019 in Supercars and rejoined the track in the race lead. And there's a lot of controversy around whether or not he should have relinquished at least 1 or 2 positions. And there's a lock up there. I think that was our friend in the number 8 again of Richard White. And he's coming under increasing pressure from Burgess now in the truck behind. Certainly a handful, the number 8 machine. Now, although it's got number 8 on the side, it isn't actually an Earnhardt car. Having said that, it does have legitimate Winston Cup NASCAR history from the late 90s and early noughties, and also over here as well. And it really was the catalyst behind this category. This is the very car that really started the surge of the Australian Stock Cars Championship. So that really is the car that we got to thank for all of these being here today.
Absolutely. And if you want to find out more information, you can go to their Facebook page, Stock Cars Australia, to find out more information and all the content updates from the team, who are working incredibly hard to grow this series from strength to strength since it came under its current custodianship a few years ago, about 2019. It has grown from strength to strength, and we're seeing a prime example of just how strong it has become over the past few seasons with the addition or the increased involvement of Ozcars, and there's a lot of popularity as we've talked about already. So Scott Nind still doing a brilliant job at the head of the field, but on screen, Burgess and Stubbs battling it out. This is a great little dice, and the technical difference between these cars probably couldn't be any more different. Burgess running off the road there, lucky to collect it, and Stubbs was sitting waiting in the wings, ready to take that position away, and he does indeed. Up the inside, as easy as you like, holds on to it through turns 8 and 9. But a bit of a moment there for Burgess in the number 7. We've seen a few drivers do that this weekend, Dan. They're carrying a lot of speed through that right-hand kink at turn 6, and then trying to arrest the speed. The car washes wide to the left-hand side, and they're just unable to arrest the speed. Here's Stubbs now, so he's made up a little bit of ground by virtue of Burgess's mistake just a few moments ago. Deep under brakes into turn 11, but once again the door's shut on him as he's trying to make progress through this race. Hasn't quite got the outright pace that we've seen with Scott Nind as he blasts past our commentary position. I'm still in awe of the sound of that car. And here is Stubbs continuing to close in. So confirmation there that Burgess had lost position on that last lap around. And some lap traffic now coming into contention here. Now, I believe they're overlapping the number 2 entry of Chris Matten. He had a mechanical gremlin yesterday that sidelined him from the race in the afternoon. So it's great that they were able to get the car turned around. Team working hard to sort it out for today.
Yeah, not only that, but he's now leading the Ozcar class as well. So a great recovery from him, and really great to see he's inside the top 10 comfortably in position number 8.
He's done it again. Burgess is off it. Turn 7.
A replica of the lap before, and as you say, he's caught out quite a few this weekend, not only in stock cars, but in Excels and a couple of other categories as well. We've seen plenty of drama down there. You can easily go down to that section of the track. I can see there's many cars parked down there at turn 6 and 7. They have not been short of highlights over the course of this weekend. But as we see the number 8 machine, after his off-track excursion, he's got things back under control now and sits in position number 3. PB lap last time from Richard White, a 30.6. Actually matched the race leader, who is out there on the race circuit. Last time through, I just heard, and it's just done it again. Every time the leader goes past, my hairs stand on end, Callum. It just sounds absolutely fantastic. We can hear it over the sound of the other cars passing us as it goes down the back straight. These cars are so loud. They must be the loudest category in the country.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Obviously, noise restrictions is not really a thing in NASCAR, and you don't actually think they're that loud watching them from overseas or watching a broadcast from the other side of the ocean, but when you do actually see them in real life, you can't believe just how loud they are.
Me and Lisa and a couple of the Blendline team on Friday, we were down there on pit straight, right on the fence line, and as the cars whizzed by, particularly the number 16 and number 3 as well really stood out. You could feel the inside of your ears moving about. It was like a jet going overhead. It was that loud. Real cool stuff. But this is the dominant car that we've been talking about, the NASCAR Xfinity Series machine, the second tier series of NASCAR Cup competition. And it was around the year, of course, that Marcus Ambrose was driving over there. Now we have Kiwi Shane Van Gisbergen to support. But this weekend it's been 9 that's dominated, all 4 race victories in Stock Cars Australia. Through go a couple of Oz cars, Gates holding off Perichon in the end of that one. But it's the truck of Hourigan that's going to come across the line next, just beating home White and both of the Stubbses in position 4 and 5. And then Burgess, who had a few off-track excursions in this race, rounds the final corner, slings it out sideways and rolls across the line in position number 6. They continue to come through. I'm looking a little bit further back. I don't know where Frisch's gone. There he is, number 3. He's actually lost a place to the Oz car of Matten. Great drive from Matten in the Oz car. Miles ahead of the rest of the field, comfortably takes the Oz car class victory ahead of the former Brad Jones Racing NASCAR, driven by Frisch there in that race. That's a brilliant race once again in Stock Cars Australia, who are back actually with the Victorian Motor Racing Championship in just over a month's time at Calder Park Raceway. They're expecting even more Oz cars and even more NASCARs, and it's right in the heart of Melbourne as well. So make sure you get down there to watch the action at Calder Park Raceway if you enjoy all your NASCAR and Oz cars and you are an avid fan of the V8 machines. Then make sure you head down there or watch all of the action around the nation, being a national category. Runs on both the High Tech Oil Super Series program and also the Victorian Motor Racing Championship as well, Callum.
Indeed, Dan, that was Stock Cars Australia. 4 races run and won. They are finished for the weekend. Big thank you to Stock Cars Australia for joining the support card, Bill.